What's going on, guys? I hope all of you are doing great. Let's quickly just go over the chart to see what could happen like for the end of this week. We got the euro dollar, it make further downward move. I expected it to break the trend line, but as I already previously said, is the price was still heavily bearish, right? And we didn't really have any support in here. So for now, the price just continued the downward trend. And I'm mainly watching for like a further downward move for now on the euro dollar. Now, if we go to the daily time frame, then what we can see is that we have a little bit of demand in here. So right before the change of character, right before the high was broken, we create an area of demand in here. So at least for now, price can still drop a little bit further. And this would be an area I would be watching for eventually maybe another leg up, another pullback back to the upside. But at least for now, I will mainly be watching that zone, like all the zones below in there. But until then, I will continue to be bearish. We might get a retest of the middle of this small downward move in here. And after that, just continue it to the downside. Mainly because of the DXY, of course. What we're seeing now on the DXY is that price came back to the lows. So what we saw is we removed the trend line. So we took out the trend line and we did create this supply zone in here. However, keep in mind that on the higher time frames that we came out of this downward trend, we just came up again and we made a retest of these lows. So we made a retest of this downward zone. So for now, of course, price could make a rejection from this supply zone, which is still a valid supply zone. But overall, if you look at the daily time frame, then it still looks more bullish than it looks bearish. Well, something can be said that it still can go both ways for now. I'm still a little bit bullish, mainly because we already took the liquidity in here from these lows and everything. We visited back into this higher time frame demand zone in there. And for now, the 4-hour demand looks to be a little bit active. So I really want to see what's going to happen between those two zones. Are we going to remove this one? If that happens, we might see a further push to the upside. So this will be an important one. Or are we going to make rejection from here and eventually break this one? Because if this one gets broken, then we can go way further. We can make like a very, very steep drop, maybe eventually even to the like 101 levels. Because there's not really a lot in between there. So for now, it is really an important moment, an important zone we need to keep an eye on. All zones are valid, demand and supply. So preferably I want to see this one taken out, but of course we can see rejection from this since it's still a very valid supply zone. But like I said, I really just want to see it like on the euro dollar. I don't really have anything as of now. Then we have AUDUSD, still not really a lot. Like we had this, I think it was weekly demand zone where price came into now. And we are seeing a little bit of a rejection, but nothing really significant, nothing really that I like. On the 1 hour, we do have this demand zone in here. Let's see, we have this one in here. Now, if we go back to the daily time frame, then we don't really have a lot in here, right? So that tells me that price can at least visit back until these lows, preferably also take out this low and visit back until this newly created demand zone below in there. And that would play out nicely with the DXY as well. So I will mainly be watching for another further push to the downside. Maybe if we take out these daily highs in there, the bias can switch, but at least for now I will continue to be bearish. Now, going over to GBPUSD, we got a further drop and we got an entry in this one. What we saw is that this zone in here had been removed. Now, price might be going back there, so we removed this zone. We created new counter zones in here. And yeah, mainly I will be watching for a further push to the downside, but it might be a moment that like I said, on the DXY, if it makes a further pullback to the downside, then GBPUSD can also make a further move to the upside. So that's mainly what we are trading in here right now. Of course, like a small counter trend trade, it can always end up well. So that's why we took it for GU in here. That's it. Moving over to NZDUSD now, what we are seeing on NZDUSD is that we made a further push to the upside from our daily demand in here. Now if we go over to the 4-hour, we never reached back into our demand zone in here. And currently, price might make a further pullback back to the downside. We might visit back into this demand in there. And if we go there, we might take another entry, take another long entry to ride it further to the upside. But I really want to see that. For now, in here, there's not really a lot. We got some supply all the way up there. But in between there, I'm not really going to do a lot. I really want to see price push further down back to demand. And that's it. Moving over to gold real quick. Now what we're seeing is that we had it further push to the upside. We didn't reach back into our demand zone. And yeah, like I already said, like gold is currently highly bullish. Now we did go back to this area in here. So that's still a good thing. We reached this overall bigger area in there. That's a 0.75 level. And for now, two scenarios can happen. Either way, we're going to be stuck in this range. Or price is just going to break further to the upside, make a new all-time high. And since the overall order flow is still very bullish, that would be a likely scenario for me, that price continues to push up. In between there, I would watch, we have like a little bit of demand in here, but not really a significant one, right? Like we have this one being created. So we might watch this one, or of course this 4 hour stacked with like the daily demand below in there. In between there, I'm not really gonna do a lot. Like we reached the 0.75 now, and yeah, of course shorts were a good idea all the way up there. I didn't really take them myself, but they were still present, I guess. And for now, yeah, I will continue to be bullish like long term. So I'm mainly just looking for those great longs to ride it further to the upside. And yeah, that's it. Moving over to Bitcoin. Now, regarding the Bitcoin, we still had a little bit of a further push back to the downside. Now, I am expecting a further push because mainly this overall trend has been broken. Price is already for a third time actually in this demand zone. For now, I'm watching a further push back to the downside. Supply is currently in control, and I'm not seeing any buying power in here. So mainly, I will be watching this demand zone for next. The price is going to drop, make a steep drop into this demand zone, and yeah, the 59 like 60k levels are the main key levels. But I will be watching for eventually some longs or some adding some long-term positions. And yeah, that's mainly it. Like I already said, some weekly plus daily supplies, so be a little bit careful, especially around these levels. And then I'm gonna close the video, and I will see you guys again on Friday. Ciao.